Hello guys, CJ here, back with another video. On the screen right now, you're going to be seeing a pack from my EDH cube, and I want you guys to comment down below what your pack one pick one would be if this was your first pack in the cube. It's a commander cube. You build a full 100 card commander deck from this cube, and first round is all commander card, like all cards that can be your commander. So comment down below what your pack one pick one will be, and we'll get right into this video. Alright guys, so we're doing a deck tech today. And the deck tech is of Riku of Two Reflections. So what Riku says is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay Is It, and if you do, you copy that spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. And whenever another non-token creature enters a battlefield under your control, you may pay Simic. If you do, put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield. So this is a very fun deck. This is one of my favorite decks that I have. I recently got this new altar for the commander. So this is an altered Riku. And if you want, I highly recommend this artist. I've gotten stuff from them before. They do great work. And it's very, very great pricing. So if you want to look them up, there'll be a link down below. It's Holy Present Wrapper. And again, the link down below, it's a link to their Facebook, and you can contact them through that. And so we're going to get right into this deck tech. So one of the main win cons in this deck is Biovisionary, which at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. Typically in Commander, it's not pretty good. But this deck has a ton of different clone effects, and so it makes it much easier to get to 4 copies of it. And especially with Riku's ability, so you can play Biovisionary and pay 5 mana to get 2 of them. And then play Phantasmal Image for 4 mana using Riku's ability and get another 2, and then you win the game off 9 mana there. But it's pretty easy to get this going, and it's much easier because of Riku's ability to give you a token creature of any non-token that enters the battlefield. So this deck has a lot of clones in it. You can also just play your opponent's decks with this, just copying their stuff until you have this win con or a different win con. Because there's many win cons in this deck. This is the win con I built the deck around though. It's probably one of the weaker win cons in the deck. This deck is kind of designed so that way you can play it at almost any pod, because you can tailor it to the strength of the pod. You can go for different win cons to try to win the game, depending on how strong other decks are. So this is probably the weakest win con in the deck, one of the more fun win cons in the deck, and a good one to go against, a good one to go for inside of a weaker pod. The much stronger combos in the deck, using creatures like Peregrine Drake, which when it enters the battlefield you untap 5 lands, Palinchron, when it enters the battlefield you untap 7 lands, and you can pay 4 mana to return it to your hand. And Dockside Extortionist, when it enters the battlefield, you create X treasure tokens or X number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. So using these creatures, it's pretty easy to make infinite mana using cards like Flame Shadow Conjuring. That's specifically for Palinchron. Temur Sabertooth works with all 3 of them if you have enough lands or mana, or your opponents have enough artifacts/enchantments, because it bounces them to your hand and then you get to replay them. Flame Shadow just creates token copies, so with Palinchron you can untap 14 lands and bounce it and then replay it and do that over and over. Sneak Attack works really well with Palinchron also, just because you can use Sneak Attack to get it out for 1 mana. All you need is 6 lands and you have infinite mana. 1 mana to play it, 4 mana to bounce it, float 1, untap all your lands, and then replay it for 1 to Sneak Attack. Just keep going over and over and make infinite mana that way. And Deadeye Navigator works with all 3 of them to make infinite mana. And that lets you pay 2 mana to exile something and then have it return to the battlefield under your control. So being able to make infinite mana with any of these creatures, once you do that, you can just win the game off of them with Riku, because you can funnel that mana into making token copies of each of them every time they enter the battlefield. And just create an army, an infinitely large army. And with Flame Shadow Conjuring, you can do that with Palinchron and they'll be hasty, so you can win the game right that turn. Otherwise, you're waiting a turn to win the game. But it's a very strong way to combo off. All these cards are good in the deck otherwise too, which is really nice. And it's just pretty fun. It's a very like more build you like you have to build this combo. It's a lot more fun to do than like Flash Hulk. We have just some good cards in the deck. So Seedborn Muse, Vidalcan Ori, and Leyline of Anticipation. Being able to cast everything at instant speed using these two, and just being able to untap your lands during everyone's turn. It just gives you a ton of turns and lets you do a lot more with the deck. And just having the extra mana lets you take advantage of Riku's ability way better. Eternal Witness, of course, ETB trigger to return something to your hand. Same thing with Regrowth. Both these are great in the deck. You can pay an extra 2 for either of them to double the effect, which is it's just a very strong effect in the deck, in most decks really. Bloodbraid Elf, being able to cascade twice if you wanted to, just by making a, well, no, you can't cascade twice, but being able to cascade into something cool and being able to make a token copy of it, it's just a very value card. It's just solid value. Dire Fleet Daredevil is a very fun card to use. It's like red Snapcaster Mage basically. Being able to steal an instant or sorcery from an opponent's graveyard and cast it this turn. Being able to do that twice if you wanted to, like say someone has swords and someone has path. Play it, clone it, cast both, get rid of 2 big threats. Animar is very strong in the deck because it just makes your creatures cheaper, and you got a lot of creatures in this deck. It also can combo with Palinchron to give you infinite mana, which is big. And it's just a very strong card on its own. It could easily be a commander for this deck, but Riku just does a slightly better job. Riku does a better job in this deck for what I want to be doing. But it's just a great card to have in the deck still. Diluvian Primordial is a great way to just, like if you play this and clone it, you're getting 2 spells from everyone's graveyard. You can very easily win the game off that. And doing something like this on Deadeye Navigator can be absolutely disgusting. And it's just, yeah, very powerful card. And it's not too hard to get up to 7 mana in this deck. There's a lot of ramp. Green Sun Zenith is just a great tutor. You can go and get like Biovisionary, Seedborn Muse, Dryad Arbor, a lot of stuff. Signal of the Clan is another good tutor. Like if you really want to clone something, you just go grab 3 clones and you'll end up with a clone in your hand for 2 mana. Fauna Shaman, it's like Survival of the Fittest, but costs like a tenth of the price. So that's in the deck. Very good card. Very, it does exactly what it says. It just does, it puts in work. It puts in a lot of work. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, for those of you that don't know what this card does, because this is a pretty fantastic altar. Got this altar off eBay. I'm not really sure who the artist is. But for those of you who don't know what it does, at the beginning of your upkeep, you can scry one, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control, you can pay green to draw a card. It's an extremely powerful draw engine in this deck because there's a lot of creatures entering the battlefield. Plus, being able to scry in the beginning of your turn is just, it's just a nice little feature. This deck has a lot of ETB triggers, so stuff like Conjurer's Closet and Penharmonicon are also just very powerful effects in the deck and can really like push you further into first place if you have them out. Also combos really well with something like Palinchron. Like Panharmonicon and Palinchron work really well together. All interaction or removal. We got a lot of ETB related removal because that's something that we can take a big advantage of in this deck. So stuff like Acidic Slime, Frilled Mystic, and Reclamation Sage are all very strong cards in this deck. And we have some counter spells like Memory Lapse and actual counter spells in here. And Psych Rift is always a great card in any blue deck. Rapid Hybridization is one of the better cards in this deck just because you can pay 3 mana for it and you get to destroy 2 creatures instead of just 1, which like is huge. It's just double Beast Within for it's almost double Beast Within for the same amount of mana as Beast Within. Beast Within also in a deck because fantastic card. And this incubation and incongruity, which is basically Beast Within, and searching for creature, right? Yeah, creature card. So this is just a little good hand fixing if you really need something. We got some card draw cards. So all of our basics in this deck are snow basics. So Ace Fang Coatl is pretty good in the deck. Plus ETB draw card, pay 4 mana for 2 of these. ETBs draw 2 cards at instant speed for 4 mana with 2 good bodies. Is pretty good in the deck. Beast Whisper, you're going to cast a lot of creature spells. You're going to draw a lot of cards off this, especially when you clone it. Seasoned Pyromancer, ETB lets you draw cards, create dudes, and you can do it from your graveyard. It's a very strong card in the deck, especially when you clone it. Like, all these cards are great because when you clone them, they put in work. Bizarre Trade Mage, again, another ETB creature that lets you draw some cards, and it's not too big, but it's a relevant flyer. And Mole Drifter, one of my favorite cards in this, because you can evoke it, but pay 5 mana, so it's normal cost, to draw 4 cards and get a 2/2 flyer, which is just pretty fantastic. And so yeah, that's what we got for like creature card draw. Ramp package. So there's a good number of artifacts just because they're cheap and I have a lot of them around. Great Henge is great in this deck. Kodama's Reach, you can copy that if you wanted to. Cultivate, you can copy it if you wanted to. All the creatures you can copy if you wanted to. So we got this really cool looking Sakura Tribe Elder, Farhaven Elf. Sorry. Springbloom Druid, it's a great card to copy. Tempted Discovery is an awesome card in this deck. I mean, it's just an awesome card. Because more often than not, people are going to get tempted. And Wood Elves, because why not? It's another ETB ramp creature. So copying that's pretty good. And I think most of the ramp, if not all of it besides the Great Henge, is all stuff that you can hit off Bloodbraid Elf, Great Henge, and Tempt. You can hit all that off with Bloodbraid Elf, which is pretty nice to just be able to play Bloodbraid Elf and then ramp more. Got the lands. So I'm just going to slide through these pretty quick so you can take a look. But yeah, I'm not going to go over this too much. Because it's just lands. That's all it is. Just lands. Just some lands. So this is a quick look at the mana curve. We only got a couple 1-drops right now. And it's very skewed to 2, 3, and 4. With a good number of 5. And then drops off heavily. Like it just goes 2 6s. This should be there. 2 7s. And then these are all variable costed cards. Cards that have alternative costs or cost of change. And like multiple spells, alternative costs. But otherwise, it's almost entirely a deck of 2 to 5 drops, mostly 2 to 4 drops. And so here, we'll just go through these really quick. So a lot of the 2 drops are ramp. And it looks like tutors actually. Ramp, tutors, and this is just actually a wide variety of stuff in 2 drops. But I'd say the majority of it is, in fact, ramp. 3 drops. Got some card draw. We got win cons. We got more ramp. And Animar. And then the 4 drops is mostly clones. And win cons. And then right here at the 5 drops, we got the rest of the clones. And a Mole Drifter and some other just strong cards. So yeah, that's what the curve looks like. I guess this is 0 mana, but it's a dude. But yeah, so curve. That's what it looks like. These are, I would say, the all-stars of the deck. So Beast Whisper is just insane card draw in this deck, being able to clone it, create tokens of it. You'll be drawing tons of cards for every creature you cast. Sneak Attack, amazing in the deck. You can pay 1 mana and then another 2 mana to make a copy of whatever you're sneak attacking in. So you can pay 3 mana for any creature in this deck and get double ETB triggers for it, which is just wild. Like it's just such a powerful card in this deck. Animar just can make everything so cheap and it can become a win con on its own. Phantasmal Image being a 2 mana clone is just very powerful. Dockside Extortionist will guarantee you a lot of treasures, plus you can make token copy of it pretty easily. So you can just get double treasures, and it's just a big way to ramp quickly. Seedborn Muse, letting you just untap your mana, because this deck does require a lot of mana to really run how it wants to run. So being able to have as much mana as possible is huge, and Seedborn Muse really helps with that. Palinchron can just win the game like randomly. Like there are so many times that I'm playing this deck and I have Palinchron in hand, and I just figure out a way to finagle a win out of like what does not look like it should be a win, and like being able to use it to draw enough cards to get to the win con that lets me actually win the game. Like there's just so many ways to win the game with Palinchron. It's unbelievable. And then Deadeye Navigator, all these UTB triggers, being able to flicker them in and out, and instead of paying 2, just pay 4, and you get a copy of whatever you flicker back in. It's great card, great card, and just all the clones really are huge in this deck because they let you play the deck however you want to play it. Like this deck can play at most power levels, like anything I'd say from like a 6 up, it can play at that power level. It just depends on how you can control how the deck plays based on what win con you try to go for. Like if you're playing at a low powered deck, you're not going to be trying to get Palinchron Sneak Attack as quickly as possible. You're going to be trying to get Biovisionary, and you can use Palinchron for value and Sneak Attack for value, just for ETB triggers and stuff like that. Like there's just so many ways that you can go about playing this deck. It's just so much fun. My favorite deck to play. If you guys enjoyed this deck tech, please remember to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to the channel. Today's the last day that you can vote for me in the nominations thing, so please vote for me. Let me get nominated, and then you guys can vote for me on the actual ballot, which would be awesome. But vote for me for the best small YouTube MTG channel, like small audience, and best new MTG content creator. And remember, if you want a real sweet altar, check out Holy Present Wrapper on Facebook, link down below. And so yeah, don't forget to comment down below what your pack one pick one will be. That was from the beginning of the video. Maybe I'll throw it in now if I remember to. If not, no, well. But yeah, see you guys next time. Peace out.